Hi there, my name's Tim, and it's time to help you choose what's on your table this weekend. Every week we take 3 games from a certain category and we tell you what they're all about. How many players they're for, how long they take to play, the game mechanics, and what we love about them. All to help you decide for yourself if they're the types of games that you'd enjoy playing with your group as well. Why don't we take a walk on over to the closet and see what this week's category is. You know, when we were growing up, everybody played Yahtzee or some sort of a dice rolling game. So this week we're going to talk about 3 dice rolling games that we play. Now, I'm not saying that these are the 3 best dice rolling games out there. I don't know. I actually don't play a lot of dice rolling games, but these are 3 dice rolling games that we've played on our table and we've enjoyed them in some way over the years. Now, I don't think that the mechanic of dice rolling needs too much explaining, but these are simply just games where there's some element of having to roll a dice in order to play them. Without any further ado, our first game this week is Sagrada. Now, Sagrada is a 1 to 4 player game, but it does also have an expansion that takes it up to a 6 player game. Now, the complexity on Sagrada is light. The box says it takes about 30 to 45 minutes. Now, we are finding that it takes us anywhere from 18 minutes to play on a 2-player count to 39 minutes to play on a larger 4-player count. If you have a new player to Sagrada, I'd recommend adding about 5 minutes to your playtime. In Sagrada, players are stained glass window artists, and they're all commissioned to make their own stained glass window for the Sagrada Familia. Now, at the beginning of every game, each player is going to be given a pattern. And in this pattern, it's saying that it wants specific colors or dice values in these spots. The ones that are white are open, and you can do whatever you want. You slide it into the bottom of your stained glass window card, and then there's somewhere here where you can put the dice and the pattern comes out there. Now, every round begins with the first player of that round taking out the number of dice, twice as many as you have players in the game, plus 1. So in a 4-player game, that means 9 dice. In a 3-player game, that's 7 dice. And they roll them. From there, the first player is going to select a dice and place it somewhere in their window where it fits. The rules, though, is that you cannot have 2 dice of the same color next to each other, and you can't have 2 dice of the same number value next to each other. So I can't have 2 1s next to each other. So in this case, I might choose this yellow 3 and place it here between 2 purple dice of different values. Now, each other player will pick a dice, and the last player will pick first for the next go around, and it will come back. The dice that's remaining at the end of the round goes here to mark the end of the round. Now, players can also use these little glass bubbles here to use the tools. They're used as favors to get access to these tools. And these tools are going to let you draft different dice or rearrange the dice in your window or all sorts of different powers. Now, the game is over after 10 rounds of drafting. And at that point, each player is going to get points based on the secret objective that only they have. So in this case, this player is going to get the sum of the values of all their red dice in their window. And they'll also add up the values of common objectives that everybody has. So in this one, for instance, it says each column where there's 4 different dice values, you'll get 4 points, for up to a maximum of 20 points if you have all 5 columns different. Now, the player at the end of the game with the most points wins. The mechanics in Sagrada are obviously dice rolling, drafting, pattern building, and set collection. Now, if I had to pick 3 things that we enjoy the most about Sagrada, the first is that the use of those colored translucent dice fits the theme so well. I mean, you're talking about stained glass windows, so these translucent dice that light shines through and forms different colors and color patterns, it just really feels like it fits the theme really well, and it makes it actually fun to play the game. The other thing that I really enjoy is that as the game goes on, the puzzle of getting those dice in the right spots gets harder. It starts to get harder to specifically find dice that aren't the same color or number to put next to other ones, and it gets more and more challenging as your window becomes more and more full. And it leads to some really difficult decisions and having to get creative with how you use your favor glass tokens. The last thing I like is the expansion. The expansion adds some new elements to the game, but it also makes it a 5 or 6 player game, which is something that we found helpful when we had larger groups over at our house, and it didn't really remove from the game to add more players to it either. All right, our next game is King of Tokyo. Now, King of Tokyo is a 2 to 4 player game. It's light complexity. It takes about 30 minutes on the box to play the game. We find it takes anywhere from 18 to 35 minutes depending how things go while you're playing. If you have a new player at the table, I'd recommend, again, just add 5 minutes. It's a quick game to teach. In King of Tokyo, each player is a monster, kind of like this Gigazor that's kind of like Godzilla, or maybe the king here, who's a little bit like King Kong. And their job is to lay waste to the city of Tokyo, kind of like that old video game called Rampage. So each player plays a monster, and on their turn they're going to get to roll 5 dice. Now, the way it works is this. If you can get 3 of the same number, so we got 3, 2, or 1, then you're going to get that many victory points. If you get any of these claws, you're going to deal damage to your opponents. If you get any of these hearts, you can restore your health. Or if you get any of these lightning bolts, you can collect these power cubes. And you can spend those power cubes to get these different power-up cards and give you different abilities. Now, if you get to deal damage and you are the one that's sitting in Tokyo, you get to inflict that many claws of damage on all of your opponents that are not currently in the city of Tokyo. If you are a player who gets the damage, you get to inflict it on the player who is in the city of Tokyo. Now, if you are in the city of Tokyo and you take damage, you can choose to leave the city. But when it's your turn, if the city is empty, you have to go in there. Now, there are advantages like extra points for being in the city of Tokyo. You get 1 point for entering the city and 2 points for every time it's your turn again and you're still there. But the downside of it is that you become a target for damage. Now, if a player accumulates enough damage that their health is 0, they are eliminated from the game. Or if a player accumulates 20 victory points, they immediately win the game. The winner of the game is whoever gets to 20 victory points first, or if all other players are eliminated. Now, the mechanics in King of Tokyo are dice rolling, card drafting, King of the Hill, player elimination, and push your luck. If I had to pick the 3 things I enjoy most about King of Tokyo is that, first of all, there's a lot of cool promo cards for it and a lot of different expansions. There's a Cthulhu expansion. There's a Christmas tree themed monster that they put out once that you could get at certain game stores. But just there's so many of them out there and so many to collect that it actually makes it more fun to play the game. The other thing that I really like about it is that kids love this game. It's an easy game to teach to kids and they seem to really enjoy it, and they like kind of inflicting damage on one another and that take that kind of mechanic that goes with it, and they have fun with it. The last thing that I really like about it is that it creates a social environment. It's not a super serious game, and what you can do to one another throughout the course of the game creates reasons for dialogue between everybody at the table. All in all, if you're looking for a really light dice rolling game, you're going to enjoy this one. All right, our last dice rolling game this week is Unearth. Now, Unearth is a 2 to 4 player game of light complexity. The box says it takes about 30 to 60 minutes. We find it takes about 39, 40 minutes, and that's with varying player counts. There doesn't seem to be a time that's longer with a lower player count than more player count. Now, again, this is another kind of simple game to teach. I'd only need to add about 5 minutes to it if I have new players at the table. In Unearth, you lead a small tribe whose civilization has been completely destroyed, and you're trying to dig through the ruins to remember what once was. Now, your civilization is represented by a set of 5 dice. You have 3 traditional 6-sided dice, 1 8-sided dice, and a 4-sided dice. On your turn, you're going to pick one of those dice, and you're going to decide which rune you want to roll it on. Now, this is why this matters. Each rune has a number in the top left, 9, 11, 11, 13, 15. Once all the dice on that rune are greater than the number there or equal to the number there, then whoever has the dice on that rune that's worth the most gets to collect it. So in this case, I'm going to roll this 6-sided dice on this rune. There's already a total value of 6 plus 2 or 8 on there. I've rolled a 2, so now it's 10. Now 10 exceeds 9. And the highest dice is yellow 6. So the yellow player gets to take that rune into their collection. Now, if you roll a 1, 2, or 3, you get to take one of these stones that's on the rune, and you're trying to build something here in your tableau. Once you have a set of 6 surrounding an empty space, you get to pick one of the wonders. Now, in this case, I'm going to pick the Tomb of the Last Age because the requirement to take that is one of each color, black, red, teal, yellow, and 2 wild card colors of my choice. And I would take it and put it here. Now, the game ends once all of the runes are spoken for and collected, and you get points based on how many of the same color you have. So, for instance, if I just have one of these kind of grayish blue ones, it's 2 points. If I were to collect 2 of them, then it would be worth 6 points, and all the way up to having 5 of the same colors worth 30 points. You also get an extra 5 points for every set of one of each of the same color that you have, and you get points from the wonders as well. Now, the mechanics in Unearth are dice rolling, set collection, tile placement, and worker placement. Well, 3 things I've really enjoyed about Unearth. First of all, I really like the 8-bit graphics in here. The beautiful 8-bit graphics. It just gives it a fun feel to the game, and that's always been enjoyable for me. I also like the fact that when you collect a rune, it's hidden. You put it face down, so nobody really knows how many colors and how many sets each other has. It makes it a bit of a mystery who's going to win at the end of the game. And I, as you know, if you've watched this series, always enjoy games where it's tough to know who's going to win before it's over. The last reason why we like it is because we've been able to use this really well as kind of a gateway game for players, or even a filler game on nights where we might be playing something more meaty, and it's really kind of fit that mold really, really well. This game was an unexpected bit of fun for us because it was recommended to us at a game store. I wouldn't have otherwise really thought of it, but we've enjoyed it and recommend it for you as well. Well, that wraps it up for another week here. I hope that you enjoyed hearing about these games where you get to, well, roll dice as much as I enjoyed sharing them with you this week. You know, if you enjoy this video, why don't you do us a favor and click subscribe there below, so that way you find out every time we have a new episode, or you can hit that little notification bell and you'll get a notification on top of your YouTube window. Or even better, why don't you comment and tell us what you think of these games if you've tried them, or what's on your table this weekend.